All right, yeah, I'm gonna do this for a quick 30 minutes. So, what's up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video. And pretty much what I want to break down today is this is gonna be the after rumble. I just want to get this out before the morning really kicks in and I gotta get up and do what I gotta do. So, shout out to the real Dana. And I gotta give Anthony Brian Logan credit as well. Um, that would have been probably a good panel for me to be on, but I'm just not dealing with the fuck nigga shit. And to be honest, I'm gonna say it just like this in the beginning. That exchange between the real Dana and Taz was fucking funny because, like I said, he don't have no smoke when it comes to a fucking female really going at his ass, um, which says a lot, like real fucking talk. But I'll say this: first of all, it was a couple people on the handle, and I want to get this straight. You know, when it comes to, I'm not even going to talk about the ADOS and FBA thing because that's not really where this conversation needs to go. But it's very clear the problem that I have with the folks that want to now kind of act like ADOS is when it comes down to it, they're really operating in a ultra left standpoint. They're pretty much they're acting like a rehashed version of Black Lives Matter. They really are, maybe with a couple of different modifications. And what I'm starting to realize is there's a lot of attitudes that black people have, and I referred to this before, that a lot of black people need to let go of. I referred to this a couple of videos ago when I talked about the communist standpoint. One of the things that black people have to stop doing is black people have to stop using the government to, they got to stop saying the government is helping people over other people, when in actuality our black asses are being outmaneuvered. Like real fucking talk. What black people like to do is they like to blame. Black people have a bad habit, and this is coming from having a zeitgeist of a female, and I'm gonna just take it like this. But I gotta tell you real talk. Black men are just as guilty on this. We don't know how to take personal responsibility, or what I call group responsibility, for shit that doesn't happen. And what we like to do is basically, because we've been trained to do this, is we like to say, oh, well, other groups are getting help and other groups are just being given this shit. They're not being given anything. Yes, the government may be augmenting them to a certain extent, but the reality of the situation is black people are being outmaneuvered. And to go into what I'm talking about, I will say you this: if you get, let's say somebody wins the lottery, if they are not financially literate at all, they will lose all their money. Statistics has proven this across race. Because most people, like they say, a vast majority of people that win the lottery lose all their money within X amount of years. Why? Because it never, like, why? Because yes, wealth is a factor, but financial intelligence is one too. And if you lack that, you're gonna go back to where your financial intelligence is, which if it brings you back, if you have a financial intelligence IQ of poverty, you will eventually go back into poverty. You just will. Unless you take your money, put it in like a fund that just gives you money, like gives like a trust fund, which most people, again, that takes financial intelligence to even know to even do that. You're gonna lose all your money because you're gonna go back to where you are. Now, this is not justifying where black people are now, but what it is saying is black people have this thing about thinking, well, if I'm just giving wealth, I'll have wealth forever. And that's not how it works. It's not how it works. You can look at most of your athletes, your black athletes, and see when they get all the money in the world, they up until recently, when they get out the league, they lose it very, very quickly because it's the athletes that put their money in business and stuff. They're the exception, not the rule. And there's more of them now. But these people are getting millions and millions and millions of dollars over a long period of time individually, and they will lose that money. Like it's proven. It's not debatable. That's not debatable. I ain't gonna be on here long. So when I hear folks talking this government absolute intervention. I'm not saying the government doesn't need to get involved. And to be honest, Dr. Claude Anderson has never said that. But what Dr. Claude Anderson has said is the politicians in place now are not going to give you what you want. And in order to get the politicians in there to get the government intervention that you want, you're going to have to put your fucking money up. You see, the problem with a lot of people that want to claim ADOS is they have this fantasy where they believe that you just telling the government what you need is enough to actually get them to give you what you want. They actually believe that if they show the right people the right shit, then people are going to say, oh, you got me, and they're going to give you what you want. You're going to have to put politicians in place to get policies in place, and that will cost money. Every other group understands that but black people. And one thing about ADOS is, or the people that are still really riding with ADOS, is they still have this fantastical mentality. And that comes from a very socialistic and communist point of view. It's quite frankly a welfare mindset. So when I was hearing like Reggie and that other female talk, you can tell they have like as much as they want to act like they want to act like they know what they're talking about. When it comes to actually political strategy, yeah, they were going deeper into it than some people were, but it was very clear that whenever you got into the money, they want to have excuses, like most black people. A lot of black men, when it comes to money, they got jive talk and excuses. And Jason Black has said this. Professor Black Truth has said this. This is what a lot of people hate on Tariq Nasheed for, because black people are scared of money. And so they believe that they want money to be put on autopilot and to be just given something. A big reason why these groups come in here and outmaneuver us is because these groups have culture with them and they work together, and they're given the liberal and capital markets and they work together. It's not just the banks. They pool their money amongst each other. We used to do the same shit through the black church in Jim Crow era. We lost that. It's not something we used to not do. We used to do. We just don't do it anymore. These people support each other. This is why when you ask, if you really want to know where somebody's mind at, ask them if they buy black. The point of that question is not necessarily to see if they buy black. The point of the question is to pay. Do they even know how to? Do they even know where the black businesses are, how to take a certain percentage of their budget and do that? Now, if they come up with all the excuses are irrelevant, especially in the age of you can just buy shit on the internet now. That's irrelevant. The point is they are making excuses to do the very thing that, quite frankly, you really need to do to compete. And that should be one of the main things that people are talking about. This is why I'm economically pro-black. Because when people are talking about, oh, SYSBM and these motherfuckers are choosing other women, guess what? If you have a culture in place to buy black, a lot of that will solve a lot of those problems as far as what we need to do. But see, we're focused on the fucking pussy and dick shit, quite frankly. When in actuality, all women got to do is act like they got some common sense and they're not going to have those problems. It's all a deflectionary period. Now, there's a woman on here called The Real Dana. I agree with a lot of stuff Anthony Brown Logan was saying, but The Real Dana she really spoke to a lot of the shit, a lot of the strategic and the detailed stuff, with the way she was asking them questions and the way they were responding was pretty much letting me know everything I needed. These would have been questions I would have asked. And see, quite frankly, I wouldn't have been able to ask because Taz would have been too busy trying to flip the fucking table. But see, because that's a female, he's like, he's neutralized. He's not going to go with another chick, especially another light-skinned chick. So the questions were able to, even though he did try to call her a bitch and then she cussed his ass out, even though outside of that, basically the conversation flowed because it wasn't nobody that he could just flip the table on like that. That was gonna really stay there. So the conversation actually flowed to actually get to the heart of the matter, to actually what needed to be talked about. And what was revealed in that is what ADOS tries to do is they try to paint dudes that are economics first like they're economics only. People that are economics first are not economics only. They just recognize that we have to do what we need to do to create power to actually petition the government. They understand economics comes from for the political side. Because if we're not organized economically, then we're not going to be organized politically. And this is what black people don't understand. Black people have this magical thing where we just get all black people voting and we're gonna get what we want to get. That's what Democrats want you to believe. It's the money that actually controls what these people can and cannot do. And black people just don't want to face that because they have this data about what 97% of the wealth is with white people and we only have 3%. That doesn't mean anything. We white people have always had an overwhelming amount of shit. Like what you think black people had a whole bunch of wealth when civil rights got passed? And you think civil rights wasn't funded? You think civil rights was just a whole bunch of black people decided to vote and then the shit got passed? No, civil rights was funded with money as well. A lot of those boycotts and shit took money to fund from black people. This is why when a lot of your black celebrities, I'm not saying you depend on celebrities, but a lot of your businessmen and people that had money, they quite frankly had white women, some of them, when they were putting their money up, they get just as much benefit as anybody else because without the money, it would have been much more difficult to do what needed to be done. But see, black people don't want to give that acknowledgement. At the end of the day, at the end, and I would challenge y'all to go. I didn't look at the initial interview. Go look at that and then listen to what goes on in that rumble. It's 5 hours, so if you gotta fast forward, like do the interview, then later on watch what happened after. You see everything that needs to be said because every time. Oh, another thing they brought up was they brought up the hair care industry and they brought up the fact that oh well, the Koreans, the government helps the Koreans with trade deals and all of that. Man, every group doesn't have trade deals and that's why they're getting what they're getting. That's bullshit. That's like a universal excuse. Everybody does not have their own trade deal and that's not it. I'm not saying these people don't get help, but it ain't the way they trying to make it sound. Like that sounds like some motherfuckers that ain't never really tried to start nothing. And see, another thing too is when I hear black people talk about I went to the bank and I couldn't get a loan. A lot of these people are they're not like if I talk like Glendon Cameron or Erica Shanta Williams, where they actually understand what business credit is. They're basically upset because they don't go to the bank and then the bank doesn't educate them on what they need to do or they don't like what they hear and the bank just doesn't sit them down and pretty much give them the game that other people already have. And you can't just constantly just pawn it off on, well, it's just immigrants get this extra special help. That's like the way they make it sound like it's basically a get out of jail free card designed to say I don't have to address this because that's just what I'm gonna pawn all that as. It's not that. And they were talking about like some Korean hair shit, where they were basically saying, "Oh well, the Koreans are able to get hair at X amount price, and then they mark it up, so they charge us more. So because they charge us more, our prices are higher." But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the price is. Black women, quite frankly, shouldn't even be buying hair. I get that price is price, but black women shouldn't be buying hair um from black women shouldn't even be buying hair from Koreans like that. I'm talking about in the store. As far as I'm concerned, black you want to talk about a quote unquote boycott, if black women could basically unilaterally say, "Hey, y'all not selling hair to other black women unless y'all go through us." So y'all can play that price game all you want to. Y'all just not going to have a business in this industry. If black women actually pulled together to do that, then you wouldn't have a problem. Another thing too is Koreans are not the only ones that are selling hair. So there's ways to basically outcut them. But see, that's strategic shit that people don't think about. Like black people are not thinking about that shit strategically because quite frankly, we don't like to think about economics. Our politicians are not talking to us economically. Our leaders, like in the church, they're not talking about this stuff. They're not talking about black trade deals, how black people have a market that we serve with these minority groups. And if we don't get cut in, they're not talking about that because black people don't want to hear that. Because as a market, we are not united like we should be. And that's a perfect segment. And one of the things Anthony Brian Logan said, and he was damn right. He was like, but y'all still choose to buy though. You're trying to make, and the government, by the way, isn't doing that. That's them doing that. because they're putting priority over their people over you. That's not the government making them do that. Now, sure, keeping it all the way real, you could, but like the government could tariff they ass for doing that. Or maybe the government could step in and say, if you're going to sell hair in this industry, you're not going to control the price. Yes, that is something that the government could do. But the question is, are you even asking governments for specifics like that? No. What we're talking about is asking for overall reparation packages. Because, see, that's something I would ask the Congressional Black Caucus. Why aren't you all focused on that? Because that's undercutting black female money more than anybody else. So you would think the gynocracy would deal with that. But I can tell you right now, that shit is not brought to them. It's not. The other thing that she brought up was like in the Northeast when she talked about all them Indians owning hair. A lot of Indians own subways down here. Well, they take a lot of the money, and then the response, and this is what really prompted me to do the video. The response that the dark skinned chick had, she was talking about, oh well, they come in here with $700,000. That's not true. That's a lie. That's a lie. And as somebody that really understands how the Indian economy out here works, how it works on three pillars: the technology industry with the H1 in like the H1 visa to undercut like a lot of white people. They get in here with the coding, which by the way, in order for them to get in here with the coding, they have to actually know how to fucking code, which by the way, they do learn in India, which they don't learn in the same kind of school system that we have. They gotta really learn that shit on some homeschool shit, like putting that shit together shit, which nobody never talks about. They just act like they're putting these white schools and stuff like that and magically giving shit. Their economy works on a pillar of small businesses, and then their economy works on the pillar of hotels and the motel industry, and their smaller units too, so they can be more united. When you sit here and say they got 700,000, like that's some innuendo rumor bullshit. And then another thing that really got on my nerves is this idea of when they were talking about, well, the problem is the Democratic Party is center right. The Democratic Party isn't left, as if being left is the solution. As if like a lot of the shit that we got, like this idea that throughout American history it's been progressives, like even using the terminology progressive, that's a Democratic talking point. The original progressive was actually Teddy Roosevelt, number one, and number two, which is actually a center right term. So I could tell she didn't know what the fuck she was talking about when she even said that. That's Democratic rhetoric. So, well, the problem is the Democratic Party isn't liberal enough. I mean, so what do you like, a whole bunch of Bernie Sanders, a whole bunch of like what do you talk about? What, you want to be communist? And this is the fucking childlike ignorance of that. It doesn't matter what political, there is no political affiliation that, like, okay, if you're liberal enough, that means you're not racist. Like, I don't know where the fuck black people got that from. Even the dude they said the New Deal was saying nigga. Your most liberal president, I forget what his name. He was president during World War One, was a part of the eugenics program for black people. He was a Fabian socialist, as BGS would say. The founder of Planned Parenthood was a Fabian socialist. I don't know where the fuck you all get that liberals are not racist from. Like, I don't know where the fuck you get that stupid shit. Oh, well, the problem is they're not liberal enough, then they're center right. And see, now it makes perfect sense. And these are the people supposedly just like all these motherfuckers in the chat talk about, well, you need to look at ADLS 101. They have an agenda. These were the people that created that agenda. These were those people that actually are part or at least deal with the ADLS 101 agenda. And this is what the fuck they were talking about. And we're like, oh, yeah, but they haven't. And no, they don't. See, the problem is you're dealing with a whole bunch of Negroes that are not learned. And you're dealing with a whole bunch of Negroes that they're listening to YouTube videos and chat, but they ain't read no fucking books. And they have no context by which what they do. So anybody that knows more than they do sounds fucking smart, and like sheep, they just follow it rather than actually breaking something down. See, and this is a big issue. It's not about they don't take an agenda and break it down. The problem is they don't start with, they're not, like I said, they're not learning. So they don't come up with like, okay, this is generally what needs to happen on their own. And then they can look at something like ADOS 101 and then say, okay, this makes sense because this is pretty much in alignment with what I've already determined on my own. They look at ADOS 101 like the book of Eli, like the Bible, and they be like, ooh, this makes sense. And so because they didn't have any kind of context of anything before, because black people, quite frankly, we have chosen not to talk about economics in our homes. Like even something as basic as credit. You can say what you want to. You can't blame white supremacy for you spending using your credit for consumerism. That's some shit your parents teach you, or that's some shit you didn't know, so you just do. We can blame white supremacy for points. We can blame white supremacy with credit, but you can't blame them for like how you choose to use the credit that you're given. And there's a lot of practical things that black people don't do, and a lot of this has to do with our us having a culture problem. And again, this is where the black men, black women working together. This is where the gynocracy shit comes in. But real talk, she was spitting straight facts. And I know she's like maybe like I don't know if she's pro Trump, I don't know, but she was speaking even the way she dealt with Cory Booker. She said Cory Booker's gonna do what the fuck I tell him to do because he can't win without us. That's basic, but that shows a certain awareness of like, okay, you get it. You get where you are. You get that. And that's good. And a lot of black people can't even get to that mindset. They don't even have a situational awareness as to where they are state by state. See, I can't do that where I'm at. Cause even though we about to flip another we about to flip like for instance, to give you an example, Pat McCrory, as much as people like to jump on Pat McCrory, like real talk, Pat McCrory could not have won being the mayor of Charlotte without black people. He couldn't have gotten that without some black folks peeling off. So I personally probably would rather the person so he's probably the closest Republican that black people could get in there that may listen to some shit here and there. Maybe. Black people are not going to be able to get like somebody else in there. And because these Republicans, it's very hard to get a Democrat in here. But most black people are not even aware of their own states and how that shit works and like the politics in their own state. So what we do is again, it's exactly what I told you before. A lot of folks, they want to hear that they don't have to do shit. This is why, again, I say I'm economically pro-black, because where you're putting the money is what matters. All that dick pussy shit is stupid. Oh, well, shout out to Blackheart, because you talk about genetics. My thing about the genetic question is real talk. You all shouldn't have nothing to say about passport bros. And real talk, if you're dealing with a black woman and they're black genetically, that shouldn't even be in the conversation. But even still, if you do want to talk about Sysbm, the best way to deal with Sysbm is to solve the issue that black men and black women have, which is basically to get check black women and get black women stop acting like they acting. That's all it really is. It's really basic. It's really like black men are not asking black women of a lot. We're asking them to basically treat black men with mutual respect as human beings. And basically act like, and then operate like you got some common damn sense and act like you got logic. That's it. Let's stop with this, well, you can't do shit and all that, because at the end of the day, dudes are going to bounce and form their own units. If y'all going to act like, okay, we don't got people corrupted because the X, Y, and Z, then dudes don't got to play. They can leave. They can take their ball and go home. And black men will always have that leverage. And if enough black men do that, then that's going to create a problem. Because what's going to happen is other communities are going to be formed out of that. I was looking... people were kind of Donnie and the Roger Report were kind of looking at me weird, or kind of they got quiet. Maybe I phased out, but I was looking at the Laker game and I looked at Kobe. It was Kobe and it was his daughter, and I think of how much hate Kobe gets, and then I think of to me Kobe is like, I don't think Kobe specifically shunned black women, but Kobe to me is a personification of what Sysbm could be. You look at Kobe, he got his wife. Kobe did some fuck shit, but at the end, his wife ended up staying. So it was, like I said, Kobe got lucky. I'm not gonna lie. But I was looking at him because they kept on cutting to him and his daughter. And maybe his daughter will go white. I don't know. I don't know. But at the same time, Kobe's dad was black. Kobe's dad, obviously, because he's black, obviously was a black woman. That's, you look at how, Kobe has his opinions on shit, but Kobe does not depend on black people and what black people think of him. Kobe has his followers, but Kobe has more haters. Um, Dudes that hate on Kobe. But at the end of the day, Kobe's just fine. Kobe's living his life. The Hispanics fuck with him heavy, and I'm not saying that they're gonna fuck with everybody. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that's just a matter of saying. The point is, I really say, wow, looking at him, looking at his daughter, and I'm saying that could be a full blown, like, she's had mixed, but the thing about it is, women are not seeing that is they're losing. They're seeing that it's just black men are just abandoning because that's what they want to do, and that's just a deflection because they don't want to address what people are saying to address, and you don't have to. But at the end of the day, you're gonna be where you're gonna be. It just is what it is. If nothing changes, nothing changes. So I may do a more thorough video on the ADOS shit. I'm probably gonna go through that video maybe throughout and talk about it next week, because that's really one of the first times you really got them out here really saying some shit outside of Yvette and Tone, so you can really get a feeling as to what people are on. And my thing is, the problem with ADOS right now is they're kind of now they're kind of changing what they were for. They kind of made it seem like they were for something else. And Tariq peeped this shit. That's why he created his own shit. Because the problem is, these motherfuckers are pretty much Black Lives Matter 2.0. You're starting to see, no, that wasn't just Tone and Yvette. A lot of these people believe it. And the real Dana, she did say, well, I am ADOS. Well, at the end of the day, when you actually look at if you actually compare what Tariq was saying, because that's one thing they brought up. They brought up, like, how Trump was talking about dealing with certain things as far as addressing it. They were just trying to knock that out. These motherfuckers are really about voting Democrat. They really feel like the dem they and again, my thing is, if you're gonna do the same shit, but black people have been voting for Democrats. Black people got Obama elected. If shit wasn't gonna happen with Obama and shit didn't happen with Clinton, I'm telling you right now, shit is not gonna happen. It doesn't matter who you vote for. They are gonna give you the minimum, because the one thing I would have asked that didn't get asked, and I know it didn't get asked, is I would have asked what are we gonna do with the Democratic Party in this benign neglect policy? Because until we get them to admit that that's what they do and to stop it, voting for Democrat is really bullshit. Because they're going to keep doing that. That people of color, all that bullshit, the fact that you shouldn't even have to have anything called ADOS. But you have to have that because the Democrats have had a policy of benign neglect. So you have to challenge them and basically make them out them on that shit. That tells you. So all these shell games we have to play with Democrats, it's really proof positive. You cannot look at them like the same thing. And it's not because they're center right. They've been doing this shit for years when they were a lot more liberal. Remember, the Democrats didn't do anything to protect black people against what Reagan did when it comes to letting the crack in the community. And then again, I'm not gonna make, like I said, I'm about to end this right here, but I just want to put that out there. Yeah, what up, O'Shea? Yeah, man, that was a great rumble, man. You got a really good panel on there. Yeah, but this is in, after hours. Because I ain't trying to be on here too long. I'll go through some of your comments really quick. Yeah, you're right, Evan. Kobe and Kyrie wouldn't be accepted by black people, although I ain't, Kyrie and that damn flat earth shit is bullshit. All you gotta do is go to Tony and Yvette's Twitter. They've said it multiple times. So, but I'll get those links and put them on my community tab. But yes, they are incorporating, and I'm gonna tell you how I know they're incorporating it. Number one, because they keep on using the word homophobic. That's a code word. So, exactly, Starman. The large windfall will vanish. Erica, absolutely. It is a welfare mentality. It's this gimme, 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 rather than acknowledging you don't know shit about financial intelligence. I'm gonna tell you something. The first time I heard Erica was when she was talking about land. And two things struck out at me. Number one, that she was from North Carolina. But number two, the reason why it stuck out when she was talking about land was because I had just got done talking to a dude about land and about horses and stuff. And he's like one of these boule dudes, but he was younger. He was like 23. But he was on some different shit, talking about taxes and stuff like that. And it was a video where she was talking about that. And then I said at that point, I said, oh, yeah, she definitely knows what she's talking about. And then this is when her channel was a lot smaller. So again, I already knew what I was kind of talking about and looking for to find it. And what you have is a lot of people are attracted to being told that it's not their fault. It's not your fault. It's somebody else's fault. Black people have to guard against that because that is like the hustle and jive talk story of black people's lives, of them being told that it's not your fault. It's that this is that it's that they're giving advantages. Yes, I know they're giving advantages, but those advantages they're giving are not enough to overwhelm our numbers like that. They're not. We choose to patronize people, and that's like the biggest thing that fucks us over. It's that laziness. That's not what I'm talking about, 3M. So stop. See, now 3M, I'm very much aware of what Jim Crow is. So we're not talking about pre 19 in the Jim Crow era. So I'm not even going to answer that because I've talked about the Jim Crow era very much. I absolutely, and by the way, what you talk about with Jim Crow predates a lot of the immigrant shit anyway. So I didn't talk about white people. I talked about immigrants. Also, when I said we lost it, I'm referring to the fact that the mentality that we have. Just because they burn the shit down doesn't mean they didn't burn our ability to actually buy black. So focus on that. You should see that's what that's the problem. Black people hear what the fuck they want to hear, and they want to get emotional as fuck whenever they hear something that they don't want to hear, and they look for whatever the trigger is. What I said is I meant, and I meant it is black people lost what it meant to actually support each other economically. Part of that was Jim Crow, but also part of that was integration, and part of that was us not having a plan. Integration in itself did not do that, because I've always said that we're the most integrated than anybody else because we're the only person that don't support our own. That's a fact. When you look at somebody like Robert Smith, and how every first thing people want to look at is, oh, he got a white bitch on his arm right now, when he has kids that are with a mix with a black with a black woman. As far as his initial two kids, that's the type of shit I'm talking about. So stop with the emotional bullshit. What's up, Andre? 3M, I don't understand why you listening. I don't understand why you're so emotionally invested in what I have to say and me being wrong. That's another thing black people gotta really check for. I don't like, it's fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. Maybe you're in the West Coast, so maybe that's what it is. What time is it? It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and you're like very emotionally invested in what I'm saying. Like, you really need to check that. Oh, I don't understand. Da, da, da. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Because if you're this emotionally invested in what I'm saying, then you're probably this emotionally invested in somebody telling you some bullshit. Like I said, that fucking history lesson shit don't mean nothing when it comes to what right now needs to be done strategically. Today, I'm always gonna come back to this. Basically, those motherfuckers are telling you to do what black people have always done, which hasn't gone anywhere. Well, that's Franklin Roosevelt. I'm talking about Teddy Roosevelt. Two different people. No, because and by the way, 3M, I'm gonna say this straight up. Nobody gives a shit. You think that you giving Jim Crow history lessons to black politicians or people in Congress now, you think they give a fuck? They know the history. That's the problem. Y'all keep thinking y'all are gonna emotionalize motherfuckers into doing the right thing. I've seen Maxine Waters legit tell people they were putting crack in the streets on purpose for the Contras, and ain't nobody really like even to give a fuck. Y'all need to stop acting like y'all gonna begging is gonna fix shit. That's another thing. That's another way to be lazy. Yvette Carnell is a fucking idiot. And if y'all listen to her, y'all deserve what y'all get. That's where that starts. That's where that ends. I know O'Shea is being nice about it. I've said this for a long time. This is why I was team when it came to her. I was more team Boyce Watkins. I was team Boyce Watkins. Yvette Carnell's a fucking moron, and y'all don't even really know her. Y'all see. Here's a funny thing. Y'all like to talk about Tariq Nasheed in a negative way, but at least Tariq Nasheed is transparent enough that you know his history. Y'all don't really know Yvette's history. I do. Y'all don't. Tariq broke that shit down, and I looked at it. Y'all don't know who Yvette is. Y'all don't know who Yvette is. Y'all really don't even know who Tone is like that. This is how I know it's like that like bullshit. Dude, 3M, let me tell you something. Dude, you listening to me, number one. And number two, that you were young bullshit. Let me tell you something. That shit may have worked when I'm 21 years old. I'm 33 fucking years old. I don't give a fuck, nigga, if you 75. The reality of the situation is I can tell by how you're responding to what the fuck I'm saying. If you were older enough, so much older than me and so much wiser than me, you actually everybody understands what the fuck I'm saying, but you, for some reason. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm tired of black men. Oh, like as somebody that I have gotten trained and helped by a lot of older black men, I can detect the type of black men that they like to say, man, I'm older than you, so therefore you need to listen to me. Nigga, I ain't your kid. The only person that you can really pull that shit on is your son. You ain't giving me shit. So you sitting there talking about, I got a library, I got one too. What does that mean? What does that fucking mean? That doesn't mean you right. Dude, you essentially basically caping to do the same shit we've always been doing. Which basically you're actually contributing to what the problem is. Niggas keep talking about, well, we had Black Wall Street, that shit got burned down. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the mentality of something as basic as understanding why it is to buy black. Hey, we go through racism, black people still go to the church. I mean, come on, man. Stop being fucking stupid. So if you're saying begging or building ain't gonna fix shit, then basically what are we talking about then? That's my question. What the fuck are we talking about? Because nobody is saying don't use the government. I'm just saying economics first. Now if you believe that people are gonna just burn shit down just because they can, well then we might as well just go and die anyway, because it's over. At that point it's over. Yeah. It's over then. I don't know what y'all talking what I mean for real. It is. But anyway, I just wanted to give my thoughts on that because like I said, man, what you're starting to see and I'm gonna end this video with this. What you're starting to see is the problem is you got two camps. You got camp one, which is what I call black people that want to do the same shit that black people have always done before, meaning they want to remix what needs to be done, but at the end of the day, they about doing the same shit. And then you got camp two, which actually wants to do some shit differently and try something different. I don't care how you try to organize it, what you call it B1, whatever the fuck it is. At the end of the day, that's what the fuck it is. And what you're gonna find is motherfuckers in camp one They're gonna be just spinning their wheels because they basically begging the same motherfuckers and quite frankly are very angry with them because they knocked out some of their initial candidates um, for shit that they don't even know how to strategically get. And so you're gonna just see them spin their wheels over and over and over. With this project, take over the NAACP. Why would you take over the NAACP? What's the point? You might as well just create another organization. See, taking over the NAACP sounds good, but when you really understand it, you're like, okay, well, I'm too lazy to actually raise money on my own for my own organization. So what can you do? Oh, I know. We can try to go and take over another organization. That's why she's talking that shit. But again, a lot of sheep don't understand that. They don't understand that everything Yvette says is going to try to dodge the bullet of not understanding how to generate her own money. When I say money, I'm not even talking about the same business. I'm just talking about from an organizational standpoint. She doesn't know how to raise money. So she's going to try to reach into other people's pockets in order to try to do some shit because that's the only thing she knows how to do. That's the same shit she tried to do with Boyce Watkins and it didn't work. That's why she's angry. Remember that. But y'all niggas are gonna be following her thinking she got the answers. And you notice how Tone ain't got no answers when it comes to raise. They don't know how to raise money. They don't. Yeah, but you gotta understand why she was doing that. She's doing that. Oh, what is my plan? Dude, I've said what dude, number one, you listen to me again, and number two, I've already outlined that. I'm not gonna outline that shit for you. Like straight up. You know what? Yes, I will. Here's what my plan is. My plan is not that much different than what the Tea Party did. What the Tea Party did successfully in an 8-year period is they pretty much reformed the Republican Party to the point where they have Donald Trump is a Tea Party candidate. People forget that. Donald Trump is the Tea Party candidate. What black people need to do is black people need to basically do what they did and basically primary the shit out of the Democratic Party. Also, we need to start submitting our candidates because that's the only way they're going to know we're dead fucking serious. That's going to require put money behind people. That's what we need to do. And also what we need to do is let motherfuckers know that if they're not doing what the fuck we want to do, then we're not going to vote for that party. That's what the plan is. But see, in order to do that, we're gonna have to be economically united, which is something that in order to sustain that. That's my plan. Now, as far as what policies we need, there's a list of stuff that we need. There's stuff that can be counted as reparations, but there's also stuff that you don't have to call reparations that we can get in the meantime. So I'm not even going to go into detail all of that. But as an overall strategy, that's what we need to do. And black people have yet demonstrated that they will do that. What we're still doing is we're still talking about candidates that we're being given. We're not talking about candidates that we're actually putting out there to run. That's the difference. And so when you hear Tony and Yvette talk about voting, they're talking about working with the Democratic Party as is, which is a problem because we got too many people that's operating within benign neglect. That's the standard operating procedure with the Democratic Party. So you're trying to vote for somebody that has a fundamental strategy of how to not give you something. So that's my fucking plan. And the problem with quote unquote ADOS is basically operating within that structure. And number one, ADOS hasn't even acknowledged that that's even a problem, which tells me everything I need to know about how smart they really are. I'm not talking about the idea. I'm talking about the people behind it. There you have it, dude. I told you, I'm not dealing with people that's gonna be constantly saying the same shit over and over and over and acting so emotionally invested with shit that they don't like. Fuck that. I'm not dealing with that. I told you, man. The Tea Party. Okay, hold on. You said no, he's not a Tea Party candidate. First of all, the Tea Party is not defined by conservatism necessarily. What united the Tea Party was hatred of Obama. And yes, Tea Party. Oh yeah. So, let me say it like this: if you actually look at who ran in the 2016 election, all of those candidates for the most part were Tea Party. Marco Rubio, the few that weren't, like Jeb Bush, they got eliminated quickly. Marco Rubio got elected under a Tea Party wave in the first congressional term of election of Obama's tenure. He went from being the speaker to a senator. So did John Kasich. John Kasich, I think his name, T replaced Ted Strickland in Ohio. They all won on Tea Party waves for the most part. And then you had Rand Paul, who's basically is the son of Ron Paul, who is basically a libertarian. The alt-right is not traditional conservatism as you know it to be. It's more a hybrid of conservatism and libertarianism. And just because Donald Trump is not a conservative does not mean that he did not get elected by a Tea Party wave. A candidate is not necessarily, oh, well, they got to be conservative, they got to be everything. It's who they chose. So why don't you explain to me who the fuck voted for Donald Trump then in the Republican primary for him to then get to the general? It was the Tea Party because they had already swiped out multiple candidates. And then if you look at who Donald Trump knocked out, Donald Trump knocked all those candidates out because Marco Rubio wasn't white enough. John Kasich wasn't willing to go where as far as the Tea Party was willing to go with some of the rhetoric and shit he was gonna say. Because John Kasich actually wanted to govern, you know, and that's why he's kind of against the alt-right now. That's who they rallied behind to push him through. People forget that. So no, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That's number one. That's in the general. He said many Trump voters will easily vote for Democrats. That's in the general. And by the way, the most white Democrats that voted for Trump, they're pro-white. Meaning those are those Democrat. By the way, most of the Democrats that voted for Trump are Democratic conservatives anyway. So they are more conservative, but they're pro-white. And they said voting for a white man is unapologetically white in that way. So no, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Because again, I talked about the primary. See how as soon as I talk about a primary, y'all go straight to the general. Most of y'all don't even know what the fuck is going on in the damn primaries half the time because black people don't focus on the primaries, even though your vote would count more. Which is everything which proves everything I just talked about. Because you're so used to being given a candidate and being told to vote for a candidate given. No, we don't need to establish leadership in a fucking hierarchy. No, the fuck we don't. Because what's happening now is already like there is no like we need a leader. Again, that's lazy. That's just another way of you all wanting to pawn the shit you need to be doing onto somebody else. You need a code. Things like buying black and shit like that. You don't need a fucking leader in hierarchy. This is the same bullshit that black people do in order to try to pawn shit. That's that sheep talk. We need a leadership and a hierarchy. No, you need to ask your fucking self, what the fuck are you doing? We need a leadership. We need a hierarchy. That's that church talk. And now what you got Yvette and Tone basically reorganizing what ADOS was, and they're trying to take these sheep and lead them into some stupid shit. Because y'all are listening to certain people and turning your brains off. White people are on code because no matter who you vote for, no matter what candidate you voted for, they still were going to be pro-white. So yes, they are on code. I don't understand what you're talking about, that Alpha Omega. Trump again, it doesn't matter because Hillary Clinton is just as much of a white supremacist as Trump. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Alpha Omega. White people are cutting the pie amongst white people. That's a different perspective than black people always have this outside looking in perspective and don't really understand that white people have their own internal politic within white people, which has nothing to do with black people. Anyway, I've already said what I need to say. But at the end of the day, this is why you got a lot of folks sliding out. Because at the end of the day, you're starting to find that black people are starting to go back to the same. They're just remixing shit, but they're on the same shit they've always been on. So anyway, with that being said, this is Edward signing off. Peace.